You are listening to hashtag Breaking the Myth by Psych Bigyan Network Nepal. We are a non-profit organization based out of Nepal that serves to advocate for mental health awareness. Through this podcast, we wish to break certain misconceptions that might surround the idea of mental health and its care, and hope to break some popular myths we often see in media. If you like this episode, share it with your friends or anyone else who might appreciate it. So, hello and welcome back to hashtag Breaking the Myth with Ash and Kripa. I know it's been a while since we have come back with a new episode, but we're really feeling this quarantine, pandemic, COVID-19 rush, and we're finally here in the month of December, finally here in the second week of, I think second week, or going into third week of December. And it has been a long, long year. Isn't that right?
Hi, Ashura. Wow, it's already about to 2021, and it feels like we are just around August or September. It's already December.
Exactly. And the biggest thing for me is I feel like with the calendar changing, I can't blame all my problems on 2020 now. Like, it's like, oh no, it's just this year. But no, it's going to now be 2021. And I'm like, oh God, how do I go into 21 with the same problems as 2020, It's been a year.
It's been a year.
Yeah. So how has this year been for you? I mean, we wanted to do this episode as a reflection episode, as a gratitude episode, especially as just two human beings, but also people in psychology. What have we learned about ourselves, and how have we, in a year where everything was stagnant, we were all stuck in our homes, how have we in some way still managed to grow, right? Because as human beings, we always move forward even if we don't want to. So how has the year been for you?
Exactly. Ashura, we were ranting about not doing anything just few months back, and then it's already the end of the year. So this is 2020 for me. I mean, with lots of learning, with lots of newness, because I this is the first time I'm working from home, and this is very new. Hold this idea of working from home, and then juggling between homework and work from home has been the biggest struggle for me in 2020. But I managed it, and I think that gave me this huge confidence that I can do anything. In this uncertainty as well, I managed to juggle in between these two things, and can manage to do good, or at least get good out of it. And so I'm happy about it. And if I have to reflect back, if I have to reflect this last 9 months, I'm not happy that Corona happened, but I am happy that at least it happened in my lifetime, because I learned so many things about myself, and I got lots of time to self-reflect. I got lots of time to sleep, to just do nothing, and I got lots of time for myself, and for myself and for my family as well. I found 2020 a good year. I won't regret anything that happened in 2020. How was it for you, Aishwarya?
I was going to say that's such a positive way to look at 2020, and definitely I, as someone whose life has, like many people in the world, been turned upside down, I can tend to have a negative outlook if I really think about all the things I missed out on this year. But I agree, like it has been a year of personal development for me as well. If I really count, like we were just talking about, I have a tattoo on my arm, and we were just talking about my tattoo, and I just told Kripadi that I got it earlier this year. It feels like ages ago. I started the year, I spent New Year's in New York with some of my best friends, and really put a wonderful start to the year, and ended up moving countries from the US to back to India in July, and then spent quarantine. Unfortunately, I lost people during COVID, like a lot of people passed away. Major life changes. I finished up my job, my role in California. I moved back. And just, in the middle of that, like finally being home again with parents, living with them again, I think I don't give myself enough credit sometimes for all the things that I did this year. Apart from just being at home, there was a lot of major life changes that happened. And you're right. I think I'm someone who's very extroverted, somebody who loves spending time, in between people, and I really feel energized in social situations. So to be by myself, I realized I was escaping a lot of quality time with myself, right? I think that's one thing that I've definitely learned about this year. I mean, I love social interactions. I'm never going to never going to give that up. But lots of personal development, and I'm not going to regret this year. I'm alive, I'm safe. Maybe I'm not my healthiest, but I'm still, I made it alive through a global pandemic, and many people unfortunately didn't. So, that's really something to be grateful for. And then also happy that I've grown in ways that I think I'm still learning about the different ways in which I can survive. And like we were talking about before this, you're the kind of person who enjoys kind of being a homebody and you feel situated in one place. And I was someone who my identity was so tied to traveling that to not travel at all, it was a huge identity change, and never thought I would be able to survive without that. But look at me, I guess. I'm still here, I still
Exactly.
made
You
it.
survived. You should be very proud of yourself, Ashita.
Yeah.
You should be very proud of yourself.
Yeah, so that's just kind of how my year has been. Lots of major life events, moving and personal losses, and I'll be moving again soon to live with my friends and kind of start a whole new chapter. So I don't know. I think 2020 changed a lot of expectations about life, right? And I think it
Yeah,
made me grow up a little faster than I wanted to at 23.
exactly. And it made me more grounded, I guess. I can now say everything is uncertain, anything can happen anytime. You just live every day. And I think 2020 taught me to live every day like it is the last day. And I think that is one mantra which I realized in during this pandemic, during this mid quarantine days, that made me happy. That made me survive this quarantine days. It's still ongoing, but that made me survive 2020. I think you are also trying to relate to that.
I think that living one day at a time is hard, but it's a good tactic in a time where everything is so uncertain and you don't really know. Like, I was also supposed to go to graduate school and do my masters this year. That didn't happen, and even now I want to do it in another country. So immigration is different. Moving to different countries is a whole other process now. So there's still a lot of anxiety and confusion. I won't say I'm perfect and I know what I want, but like I said, just yeah, living day to day and making sure I'm finding ways to still make it every single day, like make every day my own. And some days I'm sad, like some days I don't want feel like making it my best day ever. I still get through it, I still do my tasks, and still try to take time out for myself. So this kind of leads me into, is there anything new that you've learned routine wise, or things that helped you get through, any new habits you've picked up in the pandemic?
I definitely did lots of sleeping and having good time for myself and cooking and everything. So that would be more like luxury rather than learning.
Yeah.
But for learning, I think I learned to be grateful in smallest or tiniest of thing,
Mm-hmm.
because we survived we survived COVID-19 when there are so many deaths around, when there are so many people getting infected from COVID, right? And we survived that. And I'm grateful about it. I'm grateful for my family because we are staying together. We are staying at one place and we are safe. So I started being grateful about that. I started being grateful about getting to work, and in spite of this uncertainty, because so many people are losing their job. Thankfully, I didn't have to do that. I'm still working from home. So again, I'm thankful for that. So this habit of being grateful and this habit of being grateful about everything and appreciating everything, appreciating life, appreciating people, appreciating yourself. I think this is one thing which I particularly enhanced or grew in 2020, because I was different in 2019. I would take everything for granted, but I don't think I would take everything for granted now. Another thing I was wanting to ask is, you were saying sometimes, some days I do not want to do anything, some days I am best version of myself. So how did you keep your motivation up every day in 2020? How did you survive that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I mean, now that we're at December, I'm surprised at myself to have kept it up, because my motivation was pretty much dead in like August, September. I think a lot of us were feeling burned out. So this year, I already, this is something that I expanded on. I really like podcasts, which is why we're here. We like doing podcasts, but I also really love listening to podcasts because, like I said, I'm an extroverted person. So it kind of makes me feel like, this maybe sounds sad and lonely, but it makes me feel like I'm around people. It's like being in a conversation, but not having the need to contribute, but you still feel like you're talking and having meaningful conversation. So I listened to a lot of podcasts this year, and I discovered a lot of really great mental health podcasts. So a lot of them focused around, maybe it was meditation. And I wouldn't say I ever thought my spiritual awakening would come at 23. I thought it would be like, okay, maybe when I'm 50, I'll want to slow down and wonder and about the big questions of life. But I feel like this year got me wondering about like what is my why? What is my purpose? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? So in that sense, really helped me refine what I want out of life. So those kinds of podcasts definitely help me. Like sometimes when I feel really anxious on days where I don't feel motivated, or I wake up with just anxiety in my stomach about graduate school, or waking up too late to finish all my tasks for the day. I just put on a podcast. I go up to my roof, listen to something that reminds me that I am grounded and grateful. And it's just like 10-minute episodes or whatever. And then I also started reading again. I mean, I was reading academic journals and texts in my bachelor's, but I wasn't doing much reading for leisure. So I did a lot of reading. And one thing that I fall on and off, journaling. That's something that I really discovered this year, writing down things. Do a lot of writing just as a part of my, like part of academia, part of my professions. So it's always been a professional thing. But I used to write in my like, dear diary when I was younger. It was such a good habit, but I lost it somewhere in my young adulthood. So I returned to that. And I think journaling has been one thing I have to fall back on. Like I said, I don't do it every day, but it's just on days that I feel really heavy and like my mind, I cannot quiet my mind, or there's a lot of chatter about, different things that are going on in my life. I write it down, and it makes me feel lighter. Like, I think these are important life skills that I didn't give enough credit to maybe before this year, like just writing your thoughts down. Or another thing I've heard a lot from people is starting your day with a gratitude journal. Maybe when you wake up and you do your morning routine, which is another thing. Have a morning routine. I did not have one before this year, but I understand that it helps and wakes you up. I was usually someone who would just roll out of bed and go to class, or roll out of bed and go to work. So gratitude journal is another thing I've tried on some days when again I feel kind of low, so I can just write down. You can find guided meditations as well that help you do it, but three things maybe that I'm grateful for today. Maybe it's just that I'm breathing, simple things like that, but it makes you feel, like you said, more grounded and more in control. So yeah, lots of new things.
Wow, I think you are already 50s, and speaking about your life, and then you are already so. I mean, 2020, when we're thinking 2020 is uncertain year, and then year of no hopes and year of nothingness. Now see, you having your morning routine, you starting to journal after so many years, and then you are being grateful about every smallest thing, smallest possible thing. So that is the biggest achievement one can have in their life, lifetime. And in the 20s, you are having that. I think this is the biggest. I mean, you must give credit to 2020, despite all these uncertainties and then this
Mm-hmm.
moving out and despite all these downfalls. I think this is a huge year for you.
Yeah.
And another thing I learned, addition to whatever you were saying, Aishwarya, one thing I learned was it's okay to have unproductive days sometimes. You don't do anything at all, no work. I used to sleep all day and then just listen to music or watch movies. And then sometimes the days would be for 4 or 5 days. I would do that, and it was completely fine to have such days for yourself. And I think this is one thing I again learned in 2020, because is ambitious person is someone who have this ambition in life. We always used to hustle, right? We always
Yeah.
used to run for something which do not know if we will be satisfied if we get that or if we reach the destination. But I think 2020 gave me this kind of halt, this kind of pause, which I'm grateful about. Mhm.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it was a halt and a stop and look at where you are and what you're doing. And I think another thing definitely is important to bring in is social media. I think I'm not sure if you saw a difference in social media, but I definitely did. I think it's that idea of a perfect life. I feel like a lot of people have either gone off social media, at least from my friend circle, or they have reduced how much they're using it, mostly because I think people are realizing that it's just not a real representation of reality. And I think I'm definitely still guilty of spending a little too much time on it, even now, a lot less than before. I think, like, I know my life is not perfect and people only post perfect moments on social media. So I still use it to stay in touch with my friends, but just that, like, it was a whole industry with the influencers and the travel and people always, going out and taking photos and showing off what they're doing. But in the year where nobody did anything, what are you going to post on social media? What's your I'm doing this on on social media?
True, true. In addition to that, I think social media also made people feel not good as well in this quarantine days, or in this 2020. If you remember, people used to post all these good things maybe of cooking or maybe spending time with family, and the people who are staying alone, they might feel bad about it and they might feel less productive about the days.
Yeah.
So even that is one thing which I witnessed in 2020. I'm very glad people are getting over that. People started realizing this is not reality. Yeah, this is not all goody goody every time.
Yeah.
If they are realizing that, then that's good. Otherwise, this is the time to realize that this is not the productivity context, right? Pandemic is not the productivity contest. You every individual is different. Everyone's journey is different. You need to live your life. You need to live your days, and you should be grateful of whatever you have. What
Mm-hmm.
do you think about it? Did you feel less motivated or have any days where you felt low self-esteem because of social media?
Yeah,
Did that
yeah,
happen?
many days, and it changed for me because I went from living alone in California. Like, I was living with roommates, but yeah, like those early pandemic days where everyone was like, I'm so grateful to have more time with my family or my pet, or look at how much I'm cooking. And I was still like ordering food in, and just I was grateful for my roommates who were good company, but it definitely made me feel like, oh, that uncertainty about my family and being worried and living so far away from them, that was really hard. I was jealous of the people who were able to just be at home with their families. And now I'm on the other side where I'm like, I've had enough of my family. I lived with them for 6 months. And
2020 in 1 year.
in 1 year, yeah, I've seen both spectrums. So, like, there's no perfection for sure. Just spending time at home and that unproductivity part, I really struggle with it because I think my identity growing up always has just been that overachieving kind of identity. And it's something that I'm working on because I realize I don't have to be overachieving and perfect all the time. So I really struggle with productivity. I gave myself a few months when I first moved back to India where I was like, I kind of just am tired. Moving in a pandemic is hard. And I imagine I was on like a 17-hour plane. I was on those rescue flights coming back to India. Yeah, and after that, I still will say that I felt a lot of societal pressure. Like people were still asking me, oh, what are you doing? So what are you doing next? What are you doing next? And I'm just like, I just got back and the whole world is shut down. What do you want me to do? Students are, especially in the middle of the year, if you remember, like students weren't having exams. People couldn't go back to their universities. People were stuck. I'm just like, you expect me to have my life sorted out in a world that's changed in every way possible? It's so ridiculous. Another learning from that is to just care about what I think. It's hard in our society, especially in South Asia. I know what I've done. I know my hard work. I know my experiences, my struggles. So even if somebody asks me, what am I doing next? What's next? It doesn't matter because they don't think about me as much as I think they do. They just are asking, just that pressure and learning to do better with it.
It's okay to listen to the advices, but you, at the end, you are the one who decides. I fully said you are the one who decides. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just that whole psychology idea that you cannot control other people's actions and thoughts towards you, but you can control your reaction. So you can control how, and you may not even be able to control how you feel about it, but you can accept it. You can say, okay, that made me feel bad, or that made me feel like I wasn't enough or unworthy or whatever. And then just accept it and say, but I'm fine with where I am. And that's a big thing that now I'm working towards. I will not say I'm there.
That's a huge thing. Change in your thought can change the way you feel and the way you behave. If you think you are worthy, if you think you can do, then nothing, no pressure, no societal pressure will matter. Exactly. That will be making you feel good.
Yeah.
See, another learning from 2020.
Yeah.
When we are saying this is the year of uncertainty, then see so many learnings out of it. So do you see any hopes in 2021, Aishwarya?
Yeah, I guess it's different. My hopes, like you said, you were a different person in 2019, probably a different person, a whole other growing, I guess we call them growing pains, many growing pains in 2020. So I guess I'm having to do my New Year's reflection early. For 2020, what are my hopes? I think my hope is just that I stay strong. I remember that I'm resilient no matter where life takes me. Just know that like, I have everything I need with me. Like I have all my resources. I have my very smart brain. I have my body that's still with me. I have the support of my family that's still with me. However that is, despite all the disagreements and whatever. At the end of the day, like I have people who have my back and I have my own back, even when I feel like nobody's helping me, which I felt a lot of this year. You can feel kind of when you move places, if you have been somebody like that, when you go to a new place, you can feel lonely, you can feel misunderstood. So yeah, I think just trust my feet and trust myself a lot more. I think that's my main goal of 2021 is just to trust myself and trust the process and leave everything else, just trust what I can control. Yeah. What about you?
I think I survived 2020. Now I have this strong feeling that I can survive anything, any uncertainties, any pandemic pressure, any financial crisis, or anything, any negative thing that might come. So I hope 2021 would be better. I think resilience. I will see more people would be more people will be resilience. I would see more people being connected to each other. So I hope the world would be a better place to live in 2021 after all this chaos of 2020. I hope the year will be hopeful. The year will be better than the 2020, and I'm looking forward to each day to live, and then like we said earlier, to live at the best. It is best to live each day, not just to survive. To live with gratitude, with the thing you love to do, to live each day. So that would be my hope, and that would be my goal for 2021.
To just live each day like it's your best one. It doesn't have to be in comparison to anybody else's best day. It's just your best day. It's what makes you happy, and I definitely agree with that. And letting go of, I think another thing maybe going forward is just letting go of this year and all the disappointments of this year, to remember to not carry them with us, because at the end of the day, although the past happened to us, it's not a burden we need to carry for the rest of our lives. It has changed us in many ways, but I think trauma of the pandemic and stuff as well. But I think that's definitely good to remember going forward is no matter what happened this year, learn from it, remember it, but don't hold on to the sadness and the negativity, or try not to, because at the end of the day, it's in the past and you have to keep moving forward.
Exactly. After a year, maybe even it doesn't matter. It won't matter at all. Like it is making difference today. So just learn and just, move forward.
Yeah, I complain about this a lot this year, that this is my year of Javani, like this is my youth that's being robbed from me because I'm in my early 20s. But like we discussed, there's a lot of growth, and you said that I sound like a 50-year-old. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe in some ways,
With
but
all these life lessons.
yeah, exactly, all these conclusions that we've drawn. Yeah, just trying to have the best possible positive mindset for ourselves. And be positive doesn't mean like, forget about yourself, but just try to live each day, like you said, as a new day, just as its own 24-hour cycle.
Like you said, be positive about positive and be positive about negatives as well. Be grateful about them, because at least you learned that. At least it will help you to move forward and not repeat that. Maybe if you even repeat that, it's okay. You will be going to learn that example as well. So just be positive about everything.
Yeah, and be proud of yourself for getting through some of the toughest times you may have seen in your life, in every way. Look different for everyone, but I think at the end of the day, we should all be proud of ourselves for making it through, mentally, physically, emotionally.
True. You survived something which we never had, imagine in our darkest of imagination. So just be proud of that.
Agreed, agreed. Well, Kripadi, we have come to the end of our episode. It's a great reflection, always a good time reflecting with you. And I really hope when we record our next episode, it might already be 2021. So we have a lot more tricks up our sleeve for this next year. So any final words, Kripadi, we leave our audience?
Like you said, we'll be recording in 2021 now. So happy New Year, everyone. New wishes healthy, happy year for all of you and your family and your society. Let's make our world better place to live in, physically, mentally.
Absolutely. Happy New Year to everyone who's listening now or upcoming in 2021. And we will see you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.